Hey everybody, it is Wednesday once again, and I am back to bring you another WIP Wednesday video. I really can't wait to show you the progress of my project. I'm getting so close to finishing these slippers. It's been really hard to focus on them. For various reasons, I can get into all of that. But I am really excited to talk to you all today and show off my progress. So grab your project and get cozy, and let's get started. All right, so as many of you know, I've been working on these sailor slippers. This is the left foot that I have had finished for like a week and a half, I guess. And I'm really excited to show you where I currently am on my right side slipper. Voila! Ooh, so nice. I'm finally working on the I-cord border here. I've made a lot of progress in the last week. So I'm really glad that this is almost done because I am really excited to see how these are going to felt down to be wearable size. They are pretty heavy. I mean, heavier than I thought, at least. So, yeah, I'm going to be working on this I-cord border today while I talk to y'all. Oh, man, y'all, I have been so busy lately. And there's just been so much going on. Like, especially the news cycle has been, like, really depressing lately. I don't really want to get too much into it in this video specifically. I try and put all that stuff on my Instagram because I do really like the idea of preserving a nice space here, but sometimes it's just not possible to do that. So I have just been like, I feel like I've been inundated with news coming out of Minnesota, and it is just like heartbreak after heartbreak. I've cried a lot the past couple of days, and I wanted to talk about mental health and like ways that you can look after yourself. And if not for y'all, for me specifically, because I also need to hear it. I think it's important to, first of all, I think it's important to stay informed. I'm not saying it like, oh, you should just turn off the news and look away. That is like definitely not it. I think it's important to be informed and to know what's happening. I'm not gonna really get so much into it here, but it has really been tough to see everything that's happening in the news. And normally, to kind of cope with stress and anxiety, I turn to knitting. But unfortunately, this project has not really been a welcoming knit for me. And, I'm not saying that, like, the pattern itself is really well written. I think it's a clever idea, and like no problems at all with the designer. It's just the yarn. I hate working with this yarn. It is honestly awful. I don't like working with this big chunky yarn. And I think maybe it would be better if the tension wasn't so tight. But because the tension is tight and because the yarn is huge, it just feels like it's like an uphill battle for every stitch. And so, normally when it comes to like dealing with stress or like my own mental health, I really find a lot of peace in knitting. But I haven't really found peace in knitting this. And so, I kind of feel like I have been not in the best headspace lately. And it's been hard to deal with that, and still, go to work, and there's just so much going on. Not just with the news cycle, but also my life. I am am on the job hunt, which is stressful. You know, I've been emailing people, and the fact of the matter is there just isn't that much funding right now for science. And so that's been on my mind. Got to keep up with all my classes, and, you know, it's a little bit more work than I thought it would be. And, like, of course, you know, it's class, so of course there's going to be work to do, right? But I think I perhaps underestimated the amount of work that I would be having by taking 3 classes. 2 of them are online, and 1 of them is in person. And I really wanted the in-person class because I thought that it would be the best way to kind of like make sure I'm doing the work. Because I was too afraid that if I just did all online classes, that I would like slack, you know, and like not really do the work. So I'm really grateful for the in-person class, but wow, it's just like, it's a big commitment because it's only once a week, but it's a 3-hour night class that starts at 6:30 p.m. So it's just like, you know, by the end of the class, I am like exhausted because I worked the whole day, I went to the gym, and now I'm in a night class. And so that has been really draining. The thing is, though, with this program, they only offer, like, each class is only offered once or twice a year. And so you have to actually really plan out when you're going to be taking these classes. And 2 of the classes that I'm in are only offered in the winter quarter, which is right now. So it's like, well, you either take it now or a year from now. And the program online says that it can be completed in a single year. And so when I was, you know, signing up for the program, I was like, oh wow, great. Like, you know, right now when I signed up for it, it was December 2025. So I was like, okay, great. Like by this time next year, I'll have the certificate. And that would be great. You know, I would love to have that, and not just to have the certificate, but to have the knowledge. And so I had that in mind when I was like booking all the classes that I needed. So I don't regret doing it because 2 of the classes are also going to be over in a couple weeks because they're only half quarter. So then I'll only be left with the in-person class, which I think will be really nice. It's just been like, I've been like this, like, you know, like torn from this angle, and, you know, on the weekends I want to relax, but I also want to knit, but this isn't relaxing. And, you know, I've been just like kind of struggling to find some semblance of inner peace. And I'm not always the best at taking care of my own mental health. So I thought it'd be nice to kind of talk about that today. I think I've just been like also struggling with how do I maintain this YouTube space. You know, I want people to come here and just be able to bond and escape. And, you know, sometimes it feels like I don't really want to be visible. Which is sad. I mean, that's like the sad reality. But sometimes I do just want to like take a break, but then I feel like taking a break is like, if I didn't post a video for this Wednesday, for example, I feel like it would just be like a defeat. You know, I don't want to feel defeated. And like, I don't want to feel defeated by news stories. I don't want to feel defeated by this project. You know, I don't want to feel defeated by being too tired from being busy to make content. And so I am continuing to make this, and I still want to make content, and, you know, I don't know, it felt really weird thinking about like, oh, maybe I shouldn't post something this week. Because we all need some sense of normalcy, I think. And, you know, I like to keep it consistent. being visible and continuing to do the things that I would normally do, I think is a sign that I won't be defeated by, not feeling that great. And I will continue to kind of like show up despite how I may be feeling about the world or about my project or, whatever it may be. So maybe this video is more depressing than most of my other WIP Wednesdays. So sorry about that. This is kind of just like the raw side of how I've been feeling and like basically the reality. I want to get back to my chipper self and, be happy-go-lucky and all of that. But honestly, it's just hard right now. The stress has been a lot, and it's coming from a lot of different angles. So the quicker that I can basically get some stressful things out of the way, I think the better my mental health will be. And, one of those things is these slippers. And it's like constantly on the back burner of like, I gotta work on these. And, I just don't really want my projects to feel like that. I don't want to feel like, I have to work on this. But unfortunately, that's how working on these slippers feels. So I'm just like not super satisfied with the process of making these. But I am excited to felt them and wear them. And I really do think that it is going to be worth it. I really feel like these slippers are going to be worth it as long as they shrink. If they don't shrink, well, then this was a waste of time. And if they do shrink, then which I think that they will. I really do think that they will shrink. I have faith in that. I don't think it would be as popular of a pattern if people struggled with it so much and they didn't shrink. That would be kind of wild. And I would have some serious questions for the designer. But I really do think that they will shrink and they will be worth it. And that's one of the only things that has kept me pushing forward, is that I know that this will be worth it. So anyway, I have faith in this pattern. I really feel like it's going to be worth it. I just need to get through it. I really want to get back to the project that I was going to make right after the pinwheel pop shawl, like my unbearable hoodie. And I really thought that these slippers would be a quick project. And that I would be able to get right into making the hoodie like in a week or two. But I was sorely mistaken. This has just been like a longer journey than I thought it would be, and I'm ready for it to be over, so that I can get back to the projects that I had actually planned. So in the meantime, like, since knitting has not really been an avenue of stress relief for me lately, I have been, it basically just kind of opens the door for more doom scrolling. So I just end up like doom scrolling on Instagram, like so much. And so I have been trying some other methods of self-care, and one of those things is like making sure that I'm putting on my face lotion every day, and like the little things that, maybe you think it's like not that much, or, just like doing my hair in a way that I like, certain things like that, and just making sure that I am actually like eating the things I'm supposed to eat. Like a lot of you guys know that I did a bulk recently. And so I've also been kind of struggling mentally because of my current physique, which I know is like, I did this to myself. I chose to do this bulk. And so I understand why I'm not in the physique that I am wanting right now. Not that I'm like super unhappy with it. It's just, it's hard to see myself in like a bigger form than I'm used to. And it's not even like, oh, I have like hundreds of pounds to lose or anything. But even just being a little bit bigger is kind of just like triggering to my old anxiety. And so that has like not been very good for my mental health at all. So I honestly think, yeah, and like I've done bulks before and I always end up feeling the same way at the end. I'm always like, man, maybe I shouldn't have done that, because I feel like I took a step backwards. Like it's always hard when you do a bulk to, finish the bulk and be like, yes, I'm really happy with it. And, for me at least, I always tend to put on more fat than I intended. And so then I'm always like, dang it, like now I have to like really start cutting. And then it's just like, it creates like a negative loop in my head. So I am just trying to make sure that I'm taking care of myself, that I'm doing the things that I need to be doing. Like, if it's time to start cutting, well, then it's, time to start exercising more, time to change your diet. And I do think that those things have had a positive impact on my mental health. So I feel like it does matter kind of like what you do for your body and what you put into it for nourishment. All of those things are really important. So anyway, I think, moving forward, I don't know if I want to keep doing like a bulk and cut cycle, because I don't think it's the best for my mental health. Like maybe I should just do like slower, like people call it main gaining, where you're basically like in a very small calorie surplus, instead of like being in a larger calorie surplus, like in a bulk. And I tried, honestly, in my bulk to not like super overeat. And I think I did like a pretty good job. Like, even though I'm saying like, oh, I put on more fat than I realized and all of that, like I have had worse bulks. And I know that like with my experience in the gym and with bulking and cutting, like I know that it will kind of like work itself out. Like it's all part of the process. But it's just sometimes hard to see that it's all part of the process. Like sometimes you just get a little bit lost in the sauce and it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, even though you know that it's there and you know that you can get there. So I don't know, I guess just like recommend, like, everyone just make sure you're taking care of yourself. If you are not taking care of yourself in the way that you need to be, then maybe you should focus on it. Maybe that's something that you can set as a goal for yourself of like, okay, well, today I'm gonna make sure I do one thing to like take a moment for myself. Maybe that's just like, maybe your one thing is just like sitting down for a second and taking a deep breath. Maybe you could take a bath. I like to use Epsom salts in my bath because they help relax my muscles, which, I'm often like very sore from working out. And so it really helps. You can make yourself a nice tea. These are all sometimes things that I will do for myself. Like I love making myself like a warm bath with salts and have a nice like detox tea or like a stress relief tea. Those I think are really nice, even if they're not like actually de-stressing me. I feel like since it says like stress relief on the package, it makes me feel like I'm de-stressing, like it's like a placebo effect. And then like, unless you're working on something difficult like this, knitting is also like such a great way to de-stress. So, focusing on your craft is a really great thing that you can do for yourself. And, I hope that, we can all prioritize our self-compassion a little bit more. The more that you can practice self-compassion, the better you'll be at kind of recognizing when you need to be there for yourself a little bit more. And I'm kind of like at that place the past couple of days. Like I know that I need to focus more on my mental health and you know, I understand the importance of it. So yeah, I mean, this video is maybe not as chipper as some of my other ones, but I hope that you can find some insight in what I've been saying and take some of it to heart and, you know, maybe start practicing some self-care techniques. Maybe you already do some self-care techniques and, you know, that would be really great. Love to hear how you guys take care of yourselves. You know, I'm always looking for new things that I can do to take care of myself. I did have a self-care app. Well, I guess I still have it. I don't use it that much anymore, but if any of you guys have ever used Finch, it's a really great app. This is not sponsored or anything. I'm actually not sponsored by anyone. So if you ever hear me talking about a product or a service or anything that I like, it is genuinely like not an ad. I'm not trying to sell you guys anything except for my patterns and my yarn and everything. But that's different. Those are things that I've made that I would love for people to buy. But aside from that, I'm not selling anything. So anyway, Finch is like a really great app. You get like this little baby bird to start with, and you give it a name, and basically by completing tasks that you decide, you know, like some of them can be like, you know, take a shower, brush your teeth, like the basic ones. But you could also put like whatever you want on there. Like, you know, I've used it, you know, one of the tasks I had at one point was like water your plants. And then like once you check off that task, you gain basically XP. And then once you reach like your daily XP level, your bird goes on an adventure. And then by going on an adventure, you earn, what are they called? Like rainbow fragments or something? Anyway, you can use those fragments to like buy clothes and house supplies for your bird. So it's a really cute app. I don't use it that much anymore just because I don't know, I just kind of fell out of the habit of using it. Also, I reached like the end game. You know, my bird is a full adult. I have like all the clothes. Well, okay, I don't have all the clothes. And there are actually like so many different aspects of the game. It's not really a game, it's an app. But anyway, if you haven't heard of it before, definitely go check it out because it is a really cool app, and the creators are like always working on new updates, and it's like genuinely a good app, and it has helped me in a lot of moments feeling like, you know, I need like emergency self-care. You know, they actually even have a tab on there that's like SOS, and then you can click that tab and they have like very quick exercises to help recenter yourself. And a lot of them focus on breathing, or you could do meditations on there, which I think is really amazing. I also really like a good guided meditation because they'll kind of tell you what to do and when to breathe and you know, what to be focusing on. So I think all of those are really great strategies for dealing with mental health and taking care of yourself. So make sure you guys look after yourselves and, you know, take care of yourself first because it's very important. So anyway, I hope you were able to glean some insight from this video. I finished my I-cord border. I just need to do a grafting stitch here at the back to join the two I-cords together, but I am not going to do that on camera because I probably need to look up how to do it again because I always forget. So anyway, the slipper is basically done, which means that this whole project is essentially done. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am going to post another update on these slippers, and it'll probably be the last update because I want to do like a before and after, but probably in the same video because, you know, at this point I feel like nobody cares about seeing the whole big slippers unless you can see the small slippers after. So I'm going to put both in the same video, and that will be later this week sometime, basically whenever I can get around to washing these. So be on the lookout for that and take care of yourselves, all right?